Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Soaring Through Chaos. It's a joy for me to be able to share, interviews with my friends during these challenging times. The reason I'm doing this is because we are going through one of the more interesting and difficult times of our lives, when pretty much the entire world is engulfed in this pandemic. On one hand, there are concerns about health and about even possibility of loss of life. On the other hand, there are challenges with jobs and sustainability financially and otherwise. And with all this, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of stress that has gotten created. There's a lot of divisiveness also in society. But amid all this, I find some friends who are doing very creative things, who are keeping their sanity and who are able to proceed as if nothing has happened. And one of them is Tanya. Tanya, tell me a little bit about yourself. I think we met thanks to common friends over dinner, isn't it? Like
Yes,
3 or 4 years
Reema.
ago?
Yes, through Reema. I heard of you earlier, but we met 3, 4 years ago through my aunt,
Uh-huh.
and
So
it
tell me
was
about you. All I knew was that you're an artist, but I had no idea the kind of artwork you do, and that you had literally traveled to many countries and done artwork, at least in a couple of countries. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
so I'm an artist. I graduated from Faculty of Fine Arts in 2003, and then I was working as a professor at NIFT, Gandhinagar. My primary interest is in natural dyes, so I traveled. I took training in natural dyes from various craftspeople across India, primarily in Kutch and in the south from Kalamkari artists. And then I started doing natural dyes in my own studio in Baroda, and where I set up a natural dye studio. And then I went to the Rhode Island School of Design to do my master's in 2011, and I worked at Providence also, and I got a National Endowment of the Arts award to do a project on natural dyes, to do a public art project on natural dyes. After that, I came back to India in 2014, and I again resumed working in my studio in Baroda, and I have been working as a natural dye artist, and I've been exhibiting my work. And recently, I've started a PhD at IIT Bombay. I again, my focus is on natural dyes here too.
You know what was interesting? When I visited your home, the only time I visited your home, you actually showed me how you make that natural dye. I think it was indigo, right? And I
Yes,
had no
yes.
idea that artists make their own dyes too.
Uh, I'm one of the few people who likes to make her. I mean, I like to make my own color, and I feel I was painting nature, so I feel more closer to nature if because it's an eco-friendly process, and it's like it's something that you get from nature itself, and then you use it to create your own art, which I felt feels wholesome in a way. It feels sustainable, and I also get involved, like apart from the fact that it satisfies. I mean, it's an ethically right process. It also feel even the process of making it excites me a lot, and sometimes it also uh, distracts me in a way from making my art, because art is for me, art is about drawing and painting, but sometimes the medium of making art, it takes me away from the art making, and that I feel maybe that is also art, making art in a way.
So it's like
So
vertically integrated. You don't just do the painting or your artwork, but you also make the ingredients using natural processes, and that gives you some kind of deeper satisfaction. That was
Actually,
really
I've
amazing. I've
started.
never seen that. I've never seen anybody do that so far.
Actually, as you have started growing some of the natural dyes, so I'm trying to uh, grow indigo and extract indigo pigment from the plant itself. Let's see how successful I get in that. So
And
uh,
besides indigo, do you work on other dyes as well?
yes, we work. I work with. I follow the traditional Indian techniques that are followed by crafts people throughout the country. So from different crafts people, I've learned different techniques, and I try to then make it suitable to my own purpose of making contemporary art. And so I use indigo, I use manjishta, that is madder, I use harda, marabellum, and so there are these primary yellow, blue, and red, primarily three colors, and then various combinations and various techniques that I follow, various textile techniques to get different effects of the
I
um,
was just wondering, since you learned these techniques from artisans and artists around India, do you share? Do you have a blog or something where you share how it's done so others can benefit also?
Uh, I am part of various Facebook groups, so we share our knowledge or our technique on those groups, and so we learn. But I think at the moment there are people who know much more than I do, especially the artisans. So I'm still in the process of learning from them,
Uh-huh.
uh, and I also teach. I teach in universities and colleges. So I've been teaching full time and now part time. So I do a lot of workshops, and during my course of teaching, I've done several workshops in natural dyes. So I teach whatever I have learned. I teach my students, and sometimes they come up with techniques which again I can carry back to the studio, and sometimes what doesn't click me, they are able to like work it out in a faster way, so I can use their expertise and resume my work. Because yeah, because sometimes when you're in your studio it becomes a little lonely, and you're not able to get the right path. It becomes too much sometimes, and then but with students, they're always like lively and they're in a playful mood, so they get the solution quite fast.
So do you
Which
typically
works out.
teach a high school, college, or what level of students?
I have taught in design colleges and architecture colleges, so that would be undergrad students and sometimes master's level students.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I used to consider myself artistically handicapped, or I had no artistic bone until I started getting into dance and then music. And I've not dealt with any kind of fine art yet. But one thing I do know is that one of the things that I benefited from was I was a totally left brainy logical kind of person. And I didn't realize that I have to just relax that part of me. And artists, on the other hand, also have to have a scientific bent to understand the science behind what you're doing. And then there's the riyaz, there's the practice. So how much is the art, how much is the science, and how much is the practice in your case?
Um, Once I started doing natural dyes is a lot of science, because there is it is chemistry. It is there's botany in it, because you need to learn about plants. You need chemistry. How do certain colors react? There's a process. So there's temperature. The weather affects the dyes. So the same color will give you a different. The same dye will give you a different color today if it's a sunny day, and tomorrow it will give a completely different shade if it's cloudy. So you learn about the weather. So it's all somewhere in natural dyes, there's no distinction between art and science. You have to keep all your senses and all parts of your mind open to do it. And so it was after I was a science student till 12th, but it was after doing natural dyes that I had to go back to that part of basic knowledge of science. And though even now I'm not so good with the chemistry part of it, it's still difficult for me to I would love to have some help with that part of the dyeing. But as far as practice goes, so there are three parts, as you said, that the science, the art, and the practice. The practice, I would say, is like 3/4 of it is practice. Your riyas every day. Over the years, you do whatever you do. And somewhere even for an hour, if you don't get time, even for an hour, you have to sit and sketch. If you don't have anything else, if your ideas are not coming for a new painting or a new series of works, you keep sketching, and somewhere your hand has to keep working. And somewhere in any form of art, I feel that your mind and your hand, especially for a painter, it would be the mind and the hand that are, and your eyes that are connected. So one has to keep that channel sort of open, that your hand should not get your hand thinks in a way, so that the ability of the hand to think, that has to be kept
to keep sharpening
it, kind of.
Wow, wow.
And in somewhere, even your brush and your pencil keep thinking in a way, so you have to keep them in that thinking mode. And the other thing and all that affects your mind, your mood. So if you're feeling clumsy or if you're feeling bored, somewhere that reflects onto your brush, and somewhere your brush, the brush, it also starts feeling bored, and it starts feeling so you have to keep that whole channel has to be alive in a way. And they don't have to get complacent, and they have to be happy. And even if
I love that. The way you're describing it, you're animating everything. That happy brush, happy dye, happy person, and then you have a happy painting. And it's so true what you're saying. In meditation, the whole thing, we call it mindfulness or heartfulness. So when your heart is into it, when you're really paying attention to the dye comes alive.
Yes.
Or the dye, is that what you're talking about?
Yes. And so you have to the riyaz is keeping that happiness, or keeping that liveliness flow, keeping the flow alive. That is the most difficult thing, but that is also the most satisfying. Even for a moment, if you achieve that, even for 5 minutes, if you achieve that, then your whole day will be like in that smooth.
Wow. Now, during the pandemic, so much has changed. There are many things you cannot do anymore. How have you been able to continue your work, and how have your feelings towards your work? Have they changed, or are they the same?
So I'm not there in my studio. So we are here in an apartment. So I'm not able to continue with my natural dye work, because for natural dyes you need the terrace and you need an open space. So I've started doing watercolors, and so it was actually now that I realized that, and I've continued my research in natural dyes. So my ideas keep flowing, but the practice has stopped, especially with the monsoons. So I've stopped but in terms of my research, it's still on. And my practice, that is my drawing practice, has continued. My watercolors have continued. So I can, that is the only, but what I said earlier, that keeping the channel open,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
your brain to your finger, the tip of your brush, that is something that I realized during the pandemic, that you have,
Wow.
yes, so
You
that
became
was
acutely aware that it is necessary for you to keep that channel open. Otherwise,
exactly,
there's a stoppage of energy flow, if you
yes,
will.
yes, yes, yes,
Wow.
yes.
And you're doing that with watercolors now. You're keeping your brush and your connection with the art continued, right? So, Tanya, that's so wonderful to know the whole process. To me, it sounds so close to meditation, like being completely aware, putting your heart into it, putting your mind into it, and all that. Can we see some results? Can you show us some of your works? I've actually seen it at least one or two in the newspapers. So I want to see the originals.
Can you see it?
Yes, yes. Please tell us what this is.
So
What dies?
this is a body of a tree, and here is it's a tree trunk, and also the river. So the map of the river and the drawing of the tree trunk are juxtaposed. So you have several views of nature, drawing of a tree. Uh, there's also a lot, I was to do a lot of anatomical studies. So there's a lot of, somewhere the drawing of the body is kind of juxtaposed with the body of the river. And so you have the river and the lines of the river, of the map of a river. And these are the various dyes. This is indigo. This is this is Manjishta madder. The pink tone that you see, there are different shades of madder.
Yeah.
The black lines are the Kasim Karam. There's Harda. The green that you see is Harda. Greenish yellowish tones are Harda. That is Myrobalan. And this was achieved after multiple dyeings, that you get these colors.
Wow.
I'll show you one more. From the same series, this is another painting. Then you have this one. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Okay, sorry.
It should come up.
Now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now, okay.
So these are the same dyes, but in different proportions?
Yes, the same dyes, same indigo, Manjishta, Harda, and dyed various times. So you have different shades, the greenish tone, the blue, the red, the yellow, orange, in different proportions.
And is this on paper or is this on what material is this?
This is all on khadi fabric.
Khadi fabric, which is also naturally made and indigenous cultivation.
Handmade and handmade.
Handmade cloth.
Hand woven cloth. So,
interesting. Wow.
And now I've been trying to use organic khadi. So there's no fertilizer that has been used to grow it. Can you see this one?
It's come, yeah. Oh wow, very distinctly different colors.
It's all indigo, and there are various shades of indigo.
Oh, that's right.
Various processes of indigo.
And what about the yellow ones? Is that Harda?
That is Harda. Otherwise, from this grayish black tone to this light blue, it is all indigo, natural indigo.
Oh,
And
just
I also
different
use the,
concentrations. Okay.
yes, a different dipping. So how many times you dip it into
Mm.
the fabric, it gives you.
And the background is white, so that's the color of the medium, I would think.
That is the color of the khadi.
Khadi. Wow. So essentially, you've got only two dyes here. One is the
Yes,
indigo dye, and you've got the
yes,
harda dye.
yes,
Harda. Wow. It's very intricate. I mean, the leaves and everything.
yes. Should I do I can make it bigger.
Wow. So this is a pretty large sized figure then. This is a large
Yes,
sized painting.
yes. It is
Wow.
about 3 by 7 feet, 3 feet in width and 7 feet long.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And again, I see it as a painting of nature, but there seem to be a
Yes,
few metaphors in it. From an
yes.
artistic perspective, are you also depicting something besides just nature?
There is a figure here, but the figure you cannot see the figure. So somewhere it's about a person who is feeling one with nature, kind of dancing in the landscape.
That's what I saw, and I was going to ask you about it because, I mean, for me, it's like I see a dancer in there, and I thought I was seeing an
Yes,
illusion. So that is intentional,
yes, because somewhere the dancer is lost within the landscape.
merged into
And
nature, becoming one with
yes,
nature.
it was
Wow.
one with nature.
Wow,
So
I felt that, especially when you showed the close up. I felt that,
yeah,
and then I thought I was just daydreaming.
the
Oh,
figure is there and not there in a way.
that's true. That's true. It's almost
So in
surreal. It's embedded in it.
yes,
Great. This is also I can now see that indigo dye is definitely there predominantly, and
yes,
various concentrations. And you've got the harda, which is the yellow brown, and but you don't have the third one, which is the
Manjushta.
magenta. So it's just these two dyes, but because of the
Yes,
concentration levels, it creates all these shades.
yes,
Again, even here I see right in the center, I see like a female or a human figure.
yes, 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 a
That is
female figure.
intentional.
Yes, yes.
And again, what are you trying to depict in this particular picture?
It is similar, it is from the same series, from the last series, where a person is dancing amidst nature, amidst the landscape,
And becoming one with nature. Wow,
becoming one with nature.
amazing. You know, when I
And
dance, I dream about such things. I actually can feel it just merging into the background.
it's the happiness one feels when one is in nature and there's no
Yeah, it reminds
worry.
me of a Sufi song, Mast Kalandar Mast Mast. You just become
Huh,
one with, you know, the ecstasy, the just the disappearance of the ego, and just become
yes,
one with the background.
yes, yes,
I feel a convergence of the arts. I feel a convergence of fine art and performing arts in your work in this series.
yes, because I have also started for some time now. I have been training in Kathak. So
Oh,
so
okay,
I
okay.
yes, so on and off, I dance. So I always feel very, though I may not be good at it because I don't give much time to it, but I like I feel very good when I practice. So I
Wow. And you feel that experience of becoming one with nature. And
yes,
that's what
yes,
is coming out into your paintings here.
yes,
Even I hardly, I'm not a great dancer, but I'm able to use that in my work, whether it's in marketing. I wrote a paper called Dancing with Your Customer.
oh
How the practice of being with somebody, being with, being in any business, you're being with people, whether it's a vendor, a customer, your own staff, your employees, your boss. So how can you dance with them? In other words, how can you, there are times when you take charge, there are times when they take charge, but often it's a communication. So the communication between multiple people, which happens a lot, and they become very complex in negotiation. So I called it Dancing with Your Customer, and people loved that article because dance is something people can see right away, but they
Yes,
can't see the
yes.
complexities of how people. Often we say it negatively, we see it as a manipulation, and it's not. It's human
Hmm.
interaction. So I see
Hmm.
that in your work, your Kathak dance practice, which is a formal dance practice from Rajasthan, right, or from the
Hmm. Yes,
some
from
of the royal families of India,
Ghana. Yeah,
and that
yeah.
has merged into nature, and it manifests in the painting. So in what ways, now that you're doing your work in a little bit of a limited way, right? You're not able to do the things you were able to do before the pandemic. Do you feel as fulfilled, or is your fulfillment, I mean, how has you were talking about earlier, the mood of the artist and how you feel about it, has it changed? And in what ways has it changed during the pandemic?
So there are ups and downs. Um, Somewhere you feel closer to nature because uh, you don't go out, and so you are, I feel, one with nature that way. You are able to know the rhythm of the day more better. I mean, in a better way. How the light comes in the morning, how what happens when it's 10 o'clock, how the light changes during the day, how do the birds sing. So the passage of time is measured through these changes in nature. So that way I feel more together with nature.
Because there's less
Uh,
disturbance outside. Is that why you're saying?
yes, yes. You're not programmed to like, okay, I have to reach here, I have to do this, I have to uh, go through a maze of traffic, and all that is gone. So you're not worried about all that. So that way you are more within, you can stay with yourself. And I think that is very important for an artist, to be with yourself. And so it gives, but the only problem was not being able to do the natural dyeing. Uh, but eventually I think it will start, and eventually I will resume that part of work. So it doesn't worry me as of now. That time, during the initial times, and like the thing that used to bother me was more of the people who are not, about the migrant laborers, or the animals who were not getting food, and those were more, I mean, I was more worried about, more concerned about those kind of things than like my own work.
Yeah, I remember you called me about the animals, the dogs in the nearby large park, Kamati Bagh, and I was like,
Yes,
I don't know,
yes.
but let me dig out if I can see pictures of the animals. I can see that, and artists tend to feel a lot more deeper, I guess. So, so do you have any suggestions for people? Because a lot of people are restless with all the changes that are happening around us. Of course, there are people who don't have proper food, or don't have the right kind of amenities, or have less income. That's a much harder thing to deal with. But there are a lot
Yeah.
of people who have everything, who have enough resource and still are completely distressed and anxious. I'm, I see you happily doing your work and learning more things, different things. Is it possible for all of us to learn from that and see how we can make use of this pandemic?
Um, I feel it's, as an artist, you are trained to be with yourself. So that, or even as a scientist, because I see my husband, and he's also in his own world. I think, and even with the artisans I speak to, they are. So I think when you are one with your work, you kind of get into that rhythm. And but then there are also social workers who have been very active during this time. So
True, true.
I see social workers and they are more active. They're on the field. They're feeding people and they're with people who need them. So that is another. So I think people who are into their work, into their passion, whatever it is, they somehow they forget about their own happiness or misery, and they are able to um, carry on their work, and somewhere they're not bothered what I mean this about the situation. Their only focus is to how do you complete your work. And I think I'm learning from people I see around me who are totally into their work and passionate about their work.
So,
And
so as an artist or even as a scientist, being immersed in the art or the science gives you tremendous satisfaction, and then the outside doesn't bother you as much. Is that what you're saying? I'm just trying to repeat what you're saying.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Or even designers, or even anybody, like anyone.
it's
Uh,
true. It's true because I had gone to Mexico to do leadership trainings, and I was happily doing that. And suddenly, India went into a lockdown, and and even the United States went into a lockdown. Luckily, I had chosen Mexico because I knew that they politically they did not want to do a lockdown, so we didn't have one there. We had self lockdown. In other words, we all went into self quarantine. We started taking care of ourselves and minimized going outside. But it gave the freedom. But the first week, I was obsessed with the numbers, Johns Hopkins, how many people, what's happened, and which country is doing how. And then suddenly, somebody gave me the idea, or actually called me. Uh, I do leadership trainings, and I couldn't do them anymore. So why don't you do things online? And they interviewed me, and then I started interviewing others. And I'm glad because once I started doing this, sometimes like today I'm doing 8 hours of recording, 4 interviews. But it gives me that focus. And then whatever spare time I have, go out, or I'll go do other things. I've been cooking, and that also I did for the first time happily due to the pandemic. I never had a reason to cook before, but the woman who was cooking for me, she developed corona symptoms 3 months ago in Mexico. And guess what? I went into action and I started learning. And if I feel like it's a jukebox, put all the different spices, and I started enjoying it. But thank you for reminding us that being immersed in one's work. But do you also feel a social responsibility? Has your artwork changed because of the pandemic? Has anything changed in what you're drawing or how you're drawing it?
um, so see, I come from a family that's involved with social work. So my mother, my aunt, they work in the in villages. They work with women. So they work to educate women and make them self-reliant. So that was something that has been continuing for a long time. My father is a planner, so he's also with lot of he works with lot of communities. So that was been part of my growing up years. The pandemic, I mean, did not change anything in terms of my social responsibility, but within me, there's always this conflict, so as to say, or two people who, like one person who wants to be socially responsible and one person who wants to be more within, I mean, towards
Inward
like
looking.
involved with myself and involved with my own art. So that is a conflict that has been there before the pandemic, before this situation arose. Uh, but the pandemic actually forced me to look even more within and even more become more involved with my own art and look at the practice of other artists and artisans and other communities that practice various crafts. So that has,
Wow.
and I think if when I was doing when I started sketching during the pandemic, somewhere they became more spontaneous rather than thinking about it, and something that you plan, because you had somewhere you had a goal. But somehow during the pandemic I was able to take one day at a time, so it became more quicker and more spontaneous. Also, watercolors is a more spontaneous medium, so it's also somewhere that mindfulness is kind of, you're extending that thought that yes, this is here, I am here, and this is what I'm doing. So it has kind of more spontaneous and more mindful at the same time.
So now this is the season to be in the here and now, one day at a time. Unlike say in winter and in summer and all, we go with that. And now it's the day by day. In fact, even you see the governments, even entire countries, even the governments and presidents and prime ministers have to operate one day at a time sometimes nowadays. Well, it was wonderful looking at your art, listening to you, understanding what it's like. You're the first artist I'm actually talking to at length. I would say the first artist in my life in a long time. When I was a teenager, I used to talk to musicians, thanks to SPICMAC, the Society for Promotion of Indian Classical Music, among the youth. And it's been like 30 years. So I'm grateful that I get to talk to you and understand what art is like one-on-one. Yeah.
I enjoyed speaking with you.
And to all those who are listening, all those who are viewing, if you have any questions, I'll share some of the coordinates for Tanya and her work. And it's easy to find me. I'll share my coordinates as well. So thank you, and please keep that art. In fact, once I finally opened up the artistic side of me. I call it the art of the heart. It's like each time I go deep into art, I'm really going back into my own heart. And I heard you say that in different ways. Sorry?
Maybe you can start painting yourself.
Maybe. I still don't have the confidence. I still don't have when I teach a dance, a meditation class, some people take out their pen and we keep it over there so they can draw, they can paint. Some do even sculptures and all that. Somehow I am still not ready yet for some reason. I'm not ready yet to start painting. I think in my kindergarten class, my teacher used to laugh at me, and then it stuck that I cannot paint. And it's not her fault. It's my impression that I'm not good. And that has continued to this day. Dance I got over, cooking I got over, and I'm now loving cooking. I made Mexican meal.
I saw some of your pictures.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing, right? If there's any kind of inhibition, the practice doesn't happen, and then there's no flow. I know the art part I can learn, the science part I can learn, but the flow has to begin. So yeah, I started with dance and a little bit with music, and now and with cooking, and yeah, let's see. I'm hoping it'll happen as I talk to amazing artists like you. So thanks again, and please stay in touch. And anyone, any questions, we'll help you find us. And have a great rest of the week, rest of the day.